Alright. Hey everybody, I hope you all are having a pretty good day so far. I'll be honest, my Tuesday has been a bit busy so far. I barely had any time really to be at my desk today. Okay. I don't know why that popped up. So yeah, I was planning to do something else for the stream today, but I think we'll just work on this project some more. Yeah, so this is my Twitch interactive concentration card game, or like the Twitch Plays card game. And basically, if you've heard of concentration, it's a card game where you place a bunch of cards face down on a table, and then people can guess. Oh, yeah, and every card is guaranteed to have a pair, and then people can guess which cards are a pair, and then they'll be revealed. And if it's a pair, then you'll get a point and they'd stay face up. If it's not a pair, then they're hidden again. So you have to kind of remember which cards have been revealed. Oops, I did the wrong syntax there. Yeah, so I know these two are red, so I can say guess A1, B1. And okay, so those are a pair, so now they're going to stay revealed, and I would get a point. And how the Twitch Plays part comes into it is the viewers are actually going to be the ones to make the guesses in chat, and then also every card will be a viewer's Twitch logo, and viewers will be able to spend points that they win on various different things like changing the rules of the game or having special sound effects, things like that. So let's see. I know that I had just finished being able to do one full loop of the game, but if I remember right, there's still a bug in it. So let's just make sure everything still works. So I gotta go through here. Oh yeah, and I was talking about making a script that would make it easier to test out completing the game. So basically it would just automate making all these guesses. But it might be worth it, but it also might just be kind of a waste of time. I don't know. Oh wait, C4, D4. Okay. So now we've guessed everything. Okay, and so I know that it has reset the board because it's saying using the debug tile pair assignments, but obviously they still look like they're all still revealed, and that's because there's a duplicate of every tile. So if I just move these out, we can see the gray ones underneath. So obviously we need to delete these old cards. So let me see here. I'm kind of wondering, well, I don't know, like right now we have most of the code having to deal with the display is, or at least the display of the cards is like test code, because I know it's not going to be the final version, because the final version will they'll actually look like cards and they'll have the viewers' logos on them. Oh, okay. So I wonder how much I want to mess with it right now. But I guess we still do need to delete the old versions so that we can actually test things out. Okay, well that's not useful. I was hoping it would actually, used to when you double clicked on a warning it would take you to the actual file that it had to deal with, but alright, so this is telling me I must have on the tile pairer object, I tell it to update after, yeah, this board creator, but it's saying that that is an invalid directive because the board creator is in a different system group. So yeah, it doesn't need to have that anymore. I'll just get rid of it. So does this... I was just thinking... We kind of want this to run even if there's no images or tiles, but... I was thinking about getting rid of these. Because yeah, I added a complete worker. So yeah, I think I need to get rid of that. Anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with the problem I need to fix. So let me look at the code that creates the cards. Find it in this list. Okay, yeah, the tile game object creator. Oh yeah, so it doesn't look like I even have a class or system to delete tiles, which makes sense. I don't know why I called them tiles. I really should have called them cards, but that's okay. Anyway. Okay, so what this does basically is just... when it has... okay, when there's a tile that's not been presented, then it creates a tile, which is fine. Alright, and then it sets it in this board game objects class, which I guess is a mono behavior that holds game objects. Okay, and this is a list. I wonder if I should change this to a dictionary because we'll refer to the tiles as IDs. See, I'm kind of worried about when we restart the game if I send a command out and to delete all the tiles. Maybe this would have ran and then it would delete the tiles that just got created. I guess I can just make sure this runs after the deleter. So maybe because I'm trying to think, is there any reason that we'd want to have more than one board's tiles visible? And at this point, I don't think so. So, right, so let's make another system. It's a component system, so this will be tile game object destroyer. Right, and we'll want to update it in the presentation system group. And we'll want to update this before the tile game creator. Oh yeah, and it's not going to show up because I need to fix the namespace. Oh, tile game object creator. And now it's having to think. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the create function because I know I'm going to need some similar code. Yeah, see, I don't really need any information about the board or anything because I'm just going to delete the tiles. Because I also can't think of a reason why we'd need to delete just a few tiles, so I don't feel like I need to be able to like specify specific tiles to be deleted. Kind of thinking also, well, I'll just leave it how excuse me, I'll just leave it how it is right now, but the creator probably doesn't really need to deal with this presented component. It could just as easily have had a event that told it to display the board, but in fact we might do that in the future because there might be multiple parts to it, but I don't know. Okay, anyway, so all that's to say is I think we only need this board game objects class. So I can delete the rest of that. And then I need to listen for public struct command destroy board game objects. And I guess for now, we'll just deal with it like we did the other commands, where this specific class just destroys this, or yeah, destroys this component when after it runs. But I could see in the future that we might have like one destroyer for tiles and one destroyer for like the board and all different things like that. So we might have a few systems that listen to the same command. In which case we'd want to wait to destroy this component. So entity, we need to get the command buffer system. Equals world get existing system. So we want to destroy it at the beginning of the next frame, which is to begin initialization. Alright, so first we'll get the buffer. And then we'll just tell it to remove the command destroy board game objects. Actually, yeah, since we wait to destroy this object until the next frame, multiple systems could already depend on it. I wonder if multiple systems gave a command to remove a component, if Unity would complain, but that's something to test for another day. Alright, and so the real meat and potatoes of this class is we want to destroy all the game objects in this board game objects class. We can do for each. Sorry, oh, I should have muted my mic before I did that. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, my mic has this really bright blue LED on it that was like flashing right in my eyes, so I thought I'd turn it around, but then I forgot that touching the mic probably makes a sound, so yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, so board game objects dot what is it called? Tile objects. Right, and then we just need to call game object dot destroy game object, and then afterwards we just need to clear that list, and I think that's really it. So yeah, pretty simple, and hopefully it will be fine to just destroy everything, and then on the next frame it will be created, or even on the same frame, since this updates before the game object creator. So phase exit, whenever we exit the reveal timer, which is when it might end the game, I need to add this command. Okay, just a little cleanup. Okay, so let's test it real quick. I mean, I think this should work. Actually a bit simpler than I thought it might be. Gotta give it a bit to run. Okay, so already we have index 0 out of range. Not sure when that would have run on the tile pairer. Okay, so I guess it's saying that one of those things was empty. Maybe because the images hadn't been created yet. So, okay. I guess for now, I'll just leave this require for update image query. I mean, because I don't know. Even if there's no images or tiles, we kind of want this to run, but I guess we should wait at the moment because the way that images are set up is kind of just a little hacky right now because we're just kind of creating dummy colors. Alright, so looks good so far. Oh yeah, now I need to type all this again. Oops, I just did the wrong thing. A1. That has one too many S's. Yes, A2, B2. Yeah, now that I've done this a few times this stream, I kind of want to make that test code. Oops. For reasons like that, because I keep typing wrong or whatever. So that this is a little quicker. I guess I could make it really simple where all it does is just bypass the entire guest system and says that they're all revealed at the beginning. I don't know. Doing things like that is a little scary because it kind of bypasses the normal flow of the game, so I don't know if it would actually replicate manually doing the guesses. But anyway, we can see now that the tiles were deleted and now there's just one of them, which is definitely what we want. And if I guess again, okay, it starts working as intended. Cool, so now we can play one entire loop of the game and it pretty much works. Well, yeah, it does work, but now we need to actually do more of the fun part, I guess. So, okay, so I guess now we'll worry about scoring. So I've got to think about how we'll deal with users. Okay, and it's a little complicated because in the game database we want to kind of tie the user ID a number. I mean, we want to have the user ID as a number because can't really have strings easily on an entity. So we'll need to have some outside database that keeps the names of each user. Alright, so let's look and see what information a user would have. I'm not really sure why I have the tile stuff on the user components. I guess because the face ID points. So how does this work? The image. Okay, so yeah, the face ID just links to a specific texture face. Let me look. I'm gonna look at the structure of the entities real quick. It's been a while since I wrote that. Alright, so yeah, the display texture. Okay, so the display texture is given the ID, a specific ID. Alright, and then the user ID, I guess we'll keep that. And then this guess. Okay, so what else? So we'll have, oops, for which I guess will be an integer. Okay, and then the user will also have a tier. It'll be kind of interesting because we might be able to use Unity's built-in filtering system, which I've never done before, for entities. Okay, well the thing is that I have this design document, and the tiers are basically kind of like a user group. Either the streamer, watcher, follower, subscriber, and then you can have like combinations. So really they're not gonna have so it's not gonna be like a tier that just has a number on it. It'll have like a chat timer, and then it would be chatting if the chat timer is, or last chat time was greater than a certain point or something like that. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that right now because, yeah, that's kind of a bit more complicated. So we're going to need like some outside database of information about users that is outside the entity system, because it will need to hold information that entities can't hold. So public class user database. Okay, I want to keep this separate from like the save data, which would be like a user score that would persist between sessions. So this is like information about specific user IDs. Let me see. So I guess the main way that we would access a user is by their username, except the issue is I know on Twitch, for example, the username can change. But let's check command parser. So when okay, that's the stuff to send to the command handlers, but I'm trying to figure out what we actually get from the user when they chat. Like, do we get the... Okay, so we get a command identifier, command text, argument, and the username. Command, chat, message. I was wondering, so it gets a username and a display name. I wonder how that's different. Okay, so there is a user ID, which is probably what we'd want to use, I guess. I wonder, maybe we need to test how that works. I don't know if... I know, unfortunately, that this Twitch lib doesn't have the best what's it called, documentation. But mostly I want to see if the chat message user ID, specifically what that is. So I'm looking here at the information on their GitHub. So public chat message, all this stuff. Okay, so user ID is a tag value. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, a certain amount of information that gets placed in this IRC message. Okay, maybe I need to go back to that Twitch, like this Twitch chat tester class, and actually see what the user ID is. Like we also have that display name, which I don't know what the difference is. Alright, so let's close this and switch over to that other scene, and hopefully it still works. So I want to have the chat tester. Oh, care about the logo downloader at the moment. Oh, we got an error. Oh, I was in the middle of doing something right there. Oh yeah, I was going to do the user database, but I want to figure out if we can get the user ID from the chat messages, because that's the main way that well, I don't know, maybe we should, I was going to say that's the main way that we'll interact with users, but also like moderators will need to be able to respond to a specific person by type. Hello bot. Okay. Yeah, so the user ID. Okay, so yeah, the username is just lowercase, and then the user ID is this number, and then it makes games. So the display name is just the version that you edited to put in this whatever like capitalization you want. Okay, so I can remember that. So in case I have this question again, user name is all lowercase, username of the viewer, and then the user, and I guess the display name is yeah, in Twitch I know that you can do that, like user defined capitalization, and then you have the user ID, which is the numerical Twitch ID. Okay, so now I just need to decide. I guess the user ID doesn't ever change. The username you can change, but this is going to be how people refer to you. And then the display name is like how, again, another way that you could be displayed, or that people can refer to you. So I think that in the database we should probably use the user ID as the key, and then when somebody refers to someone by username, we just search through everything to find the username. Which, I mean, could be kind of slow, but it only happens when like a moderator would want to talk to a give a command to a specific user, so I think it will be okay. And if I really need to be able to index it quickly by username, we can have like a backup dictionary key. So anyway, so we're gonna have two classes here. The persistent user database, and then it's not, I don't really want to call it temporary, but I guess I don't know, active user database. So this will hold things such as their score. If I can type, public string ID, and then the username. I guess the display name. I don't know. And then we'll have integer for score. And then this, the active user database will instead have things like their display texture, and last chat time. But actually, that could just be as a entity. So yeah, a lot of this like active stuff that we don't store in the database will be stored on the user entity itself, and a lot of this information will be too, actually. But this will also store, like, we'll save this whole class to the file when the game ends. So, okay, so really we just need to have the logo here. So, so this persistent user database, since it is loaded from to and from the file, well, I guess probably we'll probably want to serialize it as a separate class, because I found out that's usually just a better way to do it. So I'll just have this. The reason I was thinking about it is because you can't serialize a dictionary to a file. But we'll have dictionary string to user to be by ID. And then we'll have the same thing here. I think this is fine. The other way we could do it is we could just have a list of all the users, and then whenever we needed one, we would just loop through the whole list, but seems a bit silly because we already know that the IDs are unique because they'll be supplied by Twitch. Okay, so then the user ID, I should rename this because it's going to be different than the Twitch ID. Or maybe I should change this, so by Twitch ID. So I don't know why I capitalized these, because they're don't need to be capitalized. And then I guess this will be again by Twitch ID. So I can't really use... Well, could I just use a Twitch ID as this? Because I was given a number there, but I don't know if it's always guaranteed to be a number. And I kind of need to have some specifier on the entity that I can use just internally. So yeah, we'll just assign users an ID whenever the game creates an entity for them. So okay. So maybe this should also have a reference to the Twitch ID so that it can load back into the persistent database. I think that's fine. Okay. So this instead should be just by the game ID and not by the Twitch ID. Oh, I probably shouldn't rename it like that. Okay, and then I'll need to have like a running count of the current ID. So next game user ID start at 0, and then whenever we create a new user, we'll look at this and increment it. Yeah, so right now we don't even use the user ID in structure, so don't have to worry about that yet. Okay, so now I guess I'll need some class that will initialize these databases. Let's just do that real quick. User database initializer. Okay, so what this will do is it will create both of these databases. So here it would load from a file, but we don't have a file yet. So persistent equals new persistent user database. And then by Twitch ID equals new. And then active equals new active user database. And active.by game ID. And the next user ID. Well, let's actually have it start at 1. So that way if the user ID is ever 0, we know it's not been initialized. And then I need to add both these to the GameLogic database. And this is just a class I created that holds files like this that can't fit into the default entity system. Alright, and then we don't need this to ever update, so I can tag it as never. What's it? Update. Oh, okay, yeah, there's no tag for that, you just have to deactivate it, so I would say enabled equals false, and then it will never try to update, which is what we want for this system. Okay, and now, so our chat system, so I have the chat command parser system that gets information from the what's it called, the UI I have, but I don't have any way to get commands from the chat yet, which I think was on purpose because while I'm testing it, I wanted to be able to have control over what messages, but now I kind of do want to see how it would work in chat. Alright, so... oh yeah, I have this command Q, which is what queues the chat commands. So the chat box manager, yeah, so it adds that. So if I want, I need to just make something else that listens to the Twitch chat. And would, yeah, and then would call this Q. Sorry, I'm trying to think ahead and talk at the same time. Anyway, so it'd be a lot like that Twitch chat tester class. So I wonder if I can just use a lot of this code. So yeah, it starts up by creating the chat client. Okay, why does it... okay, so I guess it has to have something there to listen, even if it's not going to actually send any information. Which is... yeah, fine. I mean, makes sense. And then obviously I want to have some way that I can turn off this if I want to be able to test it without the chatbot. Okay, so this is a mono behavior, which is one way to do it. I could also put this into a system. But I kind of think it's fine as a mono behavior because we'd only want it to be active on specific scenes. And if I wanted to go between scenes, I could just make this a special mono behavior that would last between scenes. So yeah, I think that's okay. So what this would do is when it receives something, it would just go into the command queue and add in the queue, or add the command into the queue. Okay, so I think right now I have the queue only contains the username, so I want to add the user ID to it. Alright, so this is username and public string user our display name and public string user ID. Okay. is fine, I guess, for testing. Well, I want to at least, we'll have a user ID, but oh no, can't do that. I wonder if I really need to worry about the display name and the username. I could see just keeping track of only the display name, but I guess it's better to have more information than too little and I have to come back and add it later. I think I'll make a duplicate of this, which will just take the chat command. I was gonna say take the chat command from the Twitch lib, but I don't know. I think let's keep this simple. So let's make another class, which would be the chat bot. I guess just chatbot is fine. And yeah, I think I can just copy this whole class. Okay, yeah, this wasn't supposed to be a system, but alright. Is it not like that? Oh, I see. Oh, we don't want to do that. But does it not work if I have it like this? Gosh, that scared me. I guess we can fully qualify it. Yeah, I don't really want to. Kind of annoying that I have to write all this out, but I don't really want to use this class because I don't want to accidentally show it on stream. Let's. Okay, so I need to get events. Okay, so it looks like that's all done. Okay, so this chat silence period. Oh yeah, because you want to make sure that the bot doesn't respond to like doesn't send out too many messages at once so that it gets banned. But I don't think this chatbot class will deal with that. It will just create the chatbot and then listen to events. Yeah, so I can get rid of this. Okay, we'll leave this, I think. Okay, and I'll leave this connected. So what would actually happen here is it needs to get the chat queue. What's it called? Chat command queue. Oh, this isn't the right namespace, that's why it's not showing up. Oh, that's also probably why I had to write this all out. It's annoying. Oh. Okay. So I have the chat command queue. And I think that's in the GameLogic database, so command queue. Let's see, is it? Okay, yeah. So Yeah, I don't know the order that these will be created, so I need... Well, actually, if this is in the start, then we know that the chat command queue's already been created, so that should be okay. Logic database. So we'll get the list and then get the first element out of it. And then here, queue dot the process. No. I thought it was this add command. Oh, queue command, okay. Command dot command identifier. Okay, so it doesn't take... What was the command identifier, command text? Does it still show up? Okay, so the identifier is the exclamation point, so yeah, we don't need that. We just want the text. And then the arguments as list. I actually wanted it as an array, which that generates garbage. But I don't know if there's a better way to do it. Because I bet this arguments as list is going to create another list every time anyway. So yeah, I'll just leave that, and if this is a problem, then we'll fix it. So chat message user ID, chat message username, and display name. Okay, so if we need more information about users, like now that I think about it, the command really only needs to know the user ID. This other information we would store in the database. Right? Because the user ID is the only part that really matters. In fact, we mostly just need the entity ID and not the user ID. Yeah, because we can get this information from the database from the user ID. So we don't really need to pass it, but we want the database to be updated with the most up-to-date information, so... Let me see. So on command received, what other information? Oh, hey Project Wolf, thanks for stopping by. Gotta have you muted for now, you're at work. Okay, that's alright. I'm glad that you could come by and watch it all. So, good luck on your work. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I want to update the database, but I don't really want this class to do it. And I also wonder, this only happens if I receive a command, but I kind of just want to update everything if I receive a chat message. I also kind of wonder, chat client, like the order that these will be called, like will it call the chat first and then the message, or on chat command received. I just want to get any chat. All being hosted, cleared, blah blah blah, connected, disconnected. Yeah, so we'll need to worry about disconnections too. Login on message received. Okay, that's probably what I want. Ritual new chatter. Okay, so yeah, I was wondering if the messages was referring to whispers, but that's separate. Okay, so yeah, we want this on message received. So this will be handle message receive. I want to rename this to handle command received, and now I need to figure out the order. Yeah, so this part we don't really care about the actual message. We mostly just want to know about the user. Okay, so this chat message is what we got out of here. So it's like so the command is like includes the chat message. So that's fine. So this would be chat received. And we really just care about from part. I guess, yeah, I do need to deal with disconnecting, but oops, I don't know what to do, but I don't hurt anything. So handle connected and chat client on disconnected. Disconnected. And I think for now I'll just have it print a method, but obviously we'll want to try to reconnect. Okay, so let me see. On the to-do, do I have something that's about commands, toggle guest commands, user handling? So I kind of want something that's like Twitch integration, handle bot disconnect. Yeah, because we'll want to try to reconnect while the game is still active, obviously. Okay, so now I want to see what the order that we receive these commands. So if we receive the message before the command, that's good because then I can update the database at this point. But if I receive the command first, then we'll basically have to update the database both times, which is a bit of a pain, but okay, so let's create a chatbot. But why is it not showing up? Mono behavior. And the class name is the same as the file name. Oh, we've got an error, so it hasn't recompiled yet. Parser handle command. This will be user ID, I guess. Right, gotta recompile real quick. Oh, I didn't add the the mono behavior yet. Alright, so this will be good. So I can turn off chat integration just by turning this mono behavior on and off, which is kind of nice if I don't need it. Alright, so chatbot is connected, so I'm just going to type a test message. Okay, yeah, so we received the chat, that's fine. But now I need to see if, like, exclamation point test. So now we receive, okay, so we received the chat first and then the command, which is what I was hoping for. I'm just going to test it one more time. Hopefully that will be true all the time. Oh yeah, so chat first, then command. Cool. Alright, so I'll just turn this off for now. So what I want to do is this chatbot will want to notify something that it's received a chat command, and then that will update the database. I guess I don't really want it to update the database itself, although I guess it could. Let me see. I don't really need a system to do it. Okay, so let's user database. Do we want to just call it the helper? I guess manager? I don't know. Okay, this doesn't need to be a component system or anything. This will just be a static class, I think. Make things easier. I could... Okay, so I could just make most systems that have to use database come through here. And then that way they won't have to worry about the distinctions between the two different user databases. Okay, so let's see. Update username. So we'll have string user ID, string name, and string display name. I guess this should be a void. Okay, so here we just need to get the persistent database, which we can do game logic get. Oh yeah, this is the wrong namespace, which is why it doesn't show up automatically. So persistent user database. I wish it wouldn't just like compile randomly in the middle of me typing. Alright, so first we've got to get the user. So let's make another class that get or create persistent. Oh yeah, I can't do that. So persistent user database, and then string user ID. So this would be pretty simple. We'll just do if database by Twitch ID, try get value for the user ID, and then out. So what this does is if that's what I wanted, is if this dictionary contains an entry for the key, which would be the user ID, it will return true and then set the entry into this variable. If that's the case, we can just return it. I can type. It will return false if there's nothing inside of the dictionary for that value, in which case we'll need to create it. So entry equals new persistent user database, and then Twitch ID, and then we'll set database dot by Twitch ID equals entry. Okay, so I can actually simplify this even farther by saying if there's nothing in there, then we'll do this. Otherwise, we'll just return entry at the end. Alright, so yeah, we need to get the entry for this user. And then we'll just want to set the username and the display name. Hi, Suki. Thanks for coming by. How are you doing? Okay, so then the chatbot, whenever it receives that message, or receives any message, then it will want to update that. So user, database manager, update username. So we'll send it user ID. So this way it'll always have the most up-to-date user and display name for a specific user ID. Oh, glad to hear you're doing good. Which should be what we want. Okay, and again, I don't have to do that here because this message received runs before the command received. Alright. So that should be good. I guess what I can do now is test here. When we queue a command, I'll just let's get the user. Public static void get username for the Twitch user ID. So we'll need to get the persistent database. I guess. Well, basically, if there's a Twitch user ID that's in the game, we should have the username, I think. So, yeah, I don't think I need to, like, ever return null or something. So we'll get the entry equals get or create, and then we'll return entry dot display name. I think we'll mostly use the display name, but I guess I should be consistent. What's it all like? Oh yeah, and we return a string. Oh yeah, and I have to give this the database. Okay. I'm a little stuck with your code in Unity. Do you have a little bit of time to help me out? Oh sure, I'll do what I can. While I'm streaming, what problem are you having? Okay, and then I guess this queue. Well, I mean, there's no reason to dirty this up. Let's go back to the chatbot, and then on the command, we'll want to just have debug log display name from ID and database equals user database manager get display name for command chat message user ID. Okay, so we'll see what that gives us now. Oh, I turn this off. Well, it should enable itself when I turn it on, so. I'm going to type some stuff in chat just to see if it's working. Specifically, I'll do a command. So yeah, it said we receive something from NetMix Games, and then yeah, ID is NetMix Games. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, and also got Suki's command or message. Alright. Created an optimized tree in Unity. Right click 3D object tree. Okay. You can change the radius of your main tree in the inspector easily, but how can you change the radius in the script? Because you want to make the tree grow. Oh, that's sounds interesting. I don't think I've used Unity's trees very often, but let's see if I can help you out real quick. So we want to game object, create tree. Oh, he wants to do a lot of thinking about that. Okay, so you want to be able to change the radius in code. Okay, seed. Oh yeah, it doesn't really look like it's... Oh, I see. Okay. Like I said, I haven't messed around with this a whole lot. But, okay, so you'd want to do something with the branch, like the bottom, or this branch group, and then you'd have to change the radius in script. Okay, so yeah, you know how to do that, but you don't know how to do it. Okay. In script. Yeah, like I said, I've never done this myself, so if it doesn't show up for you, let me just look. So we'll have the tree. Does it have like get a branch maybe? Okay, so it doesn't actually... Yeah, that's the right one. Or is it called like optimized tree? Oh no, that's just what they called it. Or yeah, that's just the name of this game object. That's kind of interesting. It seems like they have hidden most of the information from you in the script. So if it's... Yeah, it's data. So yeah, if it's for use with like the terrain system, they might have made it so it's not really changeable at runtime. But I'm not sure about that. That'd be an interesting thing for me to research myself too. But yeah, I'm sorry I can't really be any more help because I'd have to go do research to figure it out as well, because like I said, I've never had that issue either, so. Alright, and I'm sure you've looked online, but let's see, Unity tree change radius at runtime. Yeah, mostly people... That's interesting, because like most of the time people seem to be just wanting to change other things, not specifically about the radius, but... Maybe... Maybe it's all done on a shader? Yeah, now I'm kind of interested. so yeah, it's optimized bark material. Oh, I see. It created this Oh, I see. So there's this tree data. Okay, that's on the prefab. Okay, so yeah, there's some deep stuff going on in here. I'd say that somehow you need to get a reference to this tree data. And then I don't know if so maybe okay, it was called like branch groups. Then you want to look at like element 0 and maybe you can find oh yeah, so here would be the radius. So yeah, I think you'd have to like load the tree data at runtime somehow. Change it and then like instantiate the tree. But that seems like it'd be a lot of like work at runtime. So I'm not sure how quick that would be. But that's yeah, you've got me interested, so maybe I'll do some research offline and do a stream about it. But yeah, I hope that you're able to figure that out. I'm sorry I can't be more help. Anyway, so where was I with this? Okay, so yeah, we created the chat message, updated the database, and now we can queue commands. So let me see if I can submit or get a guess through from chat. Should be able to. So turn on the chatbot. And I'll just guess A1, B1. Okay, yeah, that did work. Cool. Alright, that's good to see. Where did you click to see the tree data? It was down in the assets for your game. If you expanded the tree prefab, it had the tree data on it. So 3D objects. Yeah, I'll just create it again and show you. So down here I have my project view, and then in the assets you can see the tree object. And then you expand the prefab and it has the different materials, the mesh, and then this tree data. And yeah, I don't really know how you would access this at runtime, but I'm sure there's got to be some way that you can. No problem, Suki. I hope, like I said, I hope you're able to figure it out. Let's close this up for now. So what's the next step here? I guess we have this information. So now, okay, so also when we update a username, if the user is new, we need to assign it a user ID. So I should rename this something like, well, I guess that's fine. But we want to have another user base, or sorry, combined user and database. Another function here that's something like static void, or it should be public actually. Public static void notify user. Well, I mean, I guess this is fine. Interaction, and then we'll need to like assign this user ID a game ID and create an entity for it, I guess. Well, maybe don't need to go that far because we don't really need to have an entity. Well, do we? Because I guess when they chat, we'd want to see when like their last chat message was. Oh. But this database, okay, so maybe the database manager should actually be a system so it can get a handle on the entity creation a little bit easier. Which in that case, do I really need to have a separate one? Well, this system is going to need to like load from the database, so I think it should be separate because we'll have to load from a file is what I meant to say. But yeah, I think that this user database manager, I'm going to promote it to a system so that I can access the entities in the game a little easier. So this will just be a component system. Alright, I don't know if it will really update, but we'll override on create, and for here we'll just get a reference to the two different user databases. Yeah, I was thinking maybe the manager is like... So, I think I'm combining two different jobs that maybe shouldn't be. Because we have one job that inserts things into the database, and then there's another job that kind of is going to keep track of the user state in the game. But I guess they both write to the database, but I don't know. So basically what this does is it sees if a user ID exists in the active user database, and if it doesn't, then it would need to create an entity for it. And then it would want to also when this happens, it want to update that entity's last chat time. But okay, I need to make that a little bit easier to do in a job, probably. But yeah, so now I'm trying to think about how we would update the entity to do that, because entities, the only drawback to them is that they're not sorted. So you can't like loop through them. Well, I mean, you can loop through them easily, but I couldn't like refer to a specific entity by user ID, so it'd be difficult to update like the last chat time for a specific user. But maybe that just tells me that that information doesn't need to be on an entity. And if I want to process it as a job, I could just store all that information in native arrays, which maybe that is better. And then we don't even have an entity that refers to a user. So maybe I'll do that. In that case, I wonder, I should probably store these as lists instead of, or as native arrays instead of as like a class with a lot of information. And that also, maybe I should do that with this, but I don't know. Okay. So the reason that I want to store these as many different lists instead of one list of an object is because if you store it as a bunch of different lists, you can use it a lot easier in jobs, which I might want to do. But anyway, so we'll have, so strings again can't, oops. strings can't go on entities, so we'll just use a normal list for the Twitch IDs. Okay, so the reason I did not do this is because we're gonna store these by game ID. But yeah, we don't want to leave all this information around the whole session because we pretty much only keep track of users that that are like currently active in the game. So okay, I keep going back and forth. I think I'm trying to do too much. Alright, so basically what I'm trying to do now is when a user does chat, we want to keep track of that, but maybe I don't need to do that right this second. And then also we'd want to be able to update the score. Okay, but let's just forget about this for now. I guess since I already converted this to a component system, it might as well stay one. Doesn't really matter. So this will be game logic database get persistent user database, and then active. And this active user database might be changing a lot in the future. And then this doesn't need to ever update, so I can disable it. Okay, and then the chatbot, since this is not static anymore, or it shouldn't be static. So it's a little easier. You just refer to it like this instead of having to pass it around. I guess is a little simpler. Okay, so in order to get this database manager, it will just need to get it from the world, which is thankfully easy to do. Okay, so database manager is world, and then oh yeah, we gotta tell it that we're using the entity namespace default, and then get or create system. Alright, and then we can call that this way. Alright, so anyway, yeah, I kind of went on that big rabbit hole about the checking to see if a user is active, which we will want to do, but I feel like this doesn't really matter. Alright, so yeah, we have different user tiers, which basically what that would be is that we need to read all the subscribers. Subscribers, read followers, read and keep track. I guess we need to read and keep track of all this because it can change obviously while streaming. Track of followers, track of subscribers, viewers, and then keep track of active chatters. And then we'll also want to have the whitelist and blacklist, which will be something different. Okay, so user IDs. Okay, we already took care of that, so alright, and then so now we need to download selected logos. So we want to only download logos for users that we're actually going to use. So yeah, that will Oh, yeah, I need to work on this validate guesses that do not involve already guessed paired tiles. Maybe we'll do that pretty soon. Some more track command stuff. This is mostly done. For now we're done with the gameplay loop. So the user handling and Twitch integration are kind of related, but in fact I think I'll just combine those two sections. Okay, so what else? And then we need to have scores, or I guess scoring. And then we need to be able to save persistent data. Have I been spelling that long? Or wrong? Persistent. Oh gosh, it has an E. I always spell that wrong. Alright, there we go. And what else? I guess I can look in the design document. So I guess obviously we need to be able to do all these other commands, which most of it has to do with purchasing objects. So I guess this is really most of it. And then purchasables, which is the big thing that we'll do towards the end of the project. And of course we have graphics and art, and then like settings and things like that. Anyway, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Alright. So I think we'll try and do most of this stuff. We only have 3 minutes, so I think I'll go ahead. Yeah, and I'm a little brain dead today. Like I said, it's been very busy. So I think I'll go ahead and end the stream now. I know it's been a bit short, but I didn't really have much time to prepare for today, and I think this is just a good stopping point. So thanks everybody for coming by and watching and chatting with me. I do appreciate it. Again, good luck, Suki, with your problem, and yeah, Project Wolf with your work. Thanks for coming by and watching. And yeah, I'll put some links in chat if you'd like to follow me anywhere else. I have like YouTube, Twitter, a bunch of different social medias. Oh, Discord server. I'll also put the links in the description of the video if you are watching from YouTube. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. I think 5 Eastern. I always get that confused, but it's 4 Central Time. But we'll probably continue this project some more. Hopefully I figured out what I want to do and we can get some good progress done. And yeah, so I hope to see you then. Until tomorrow, have a great night. Bye-bye.